Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast on the planet. Prepare to reevaluate everything you've been taught.
They have the power, we have the numbers now. It's all just a constant illusion of control. They break us like horses.
And they can tell us we're crazy, and we can say, well, you haven't seen anything yet.
Everything you knew was a goddamn lie. Would you up and explode like it's the 4th of July? Possessed by perfection in this land, if you're awake, you're the enemy. Every day a new deception. Pick your scene and take direction. And on a search to connect. But I don't wear a mask and I have no regret. Down on your knees, you don't look so tall. Open your eyes and the empire falls.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast, broadcasting to you again from Northern Ontario. Absolutely stunning up here. The fall season has been gorgeous. It's just a beautiful time. I'm loving my time up here. I'm loving my time away. And, you know, the more I want to be away, I want to say from society, certainly from anything that's like news related, because Jesus, come on, it's getting worse, man. Wow, how is it even possible? But here we are in a situation that's strange, man. Strange. If you're in Ontario, if you're following this stuff, because I mean, there's all kinds of, you know, rules and regulations going on all over the place. I read today that they arrested, or they are arresting, some sort of the premier. I should quote this. I don't know 100%, so let me quote this. Gladys Berejiklian has resigned under police investigation that she has and others have received $65 million in grants, #bribery money, from AstraZeneca and Pfizer to push mandatory vaccines. If that's true, that's an amazing thing. I really want that to be true. I really want to see the freedoms in Australia. I'm not even sure what's going on in that country, and I feel like I should know a little bit more about that. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're in Australia and you're listening to this right now, reach out to us, info at the Mental Mastery Alliance. I want to hear from somebody what's going on. Dave, if you're listening, I know you're in Australia, give me a shout. Anyway, today they announced that it's mandatory vaccines for anyone that wants to work in the Canadian government, or anyone that is working in the Canadian government. Mandatory. We have 70,000 nurses backing out of their profession. Forcefully backing out. Because they don't want to take the jab. My God. How are we... Hamana. How are we in a situation that this is a reality? How is this a reality? How are we supposed to deal with this being the truth? I'm befuddled. I'll make up all the words I want. That's a real world, I think. I don't know. Vaccine passports. Social credit systems. An unholy alliance. What is Joe Biden doing? broadcasting from a studio. Like they don't even let him in the White House. Anybody got any information on that? I want to know. If anyone's listening to this and knows what the fuck is going on with Joe Biden, I'd love to know. I would love to know, and I'd love to share it with my listeners. I'd love to share it with you guys. Again, we sit back and again, this is supposed to be a motivational podcast, and I keep saying things like, I don't want to talk about this shit. But they keep throwing it in our faces. And yes, it's a motivational podcast. And yes, we can talk about this shit. But it doesn't need to be all-encompassing. But it seems like every time I take a step away and I'm like, okay, well, let's get back to something. Let's talk about positivity. Let's talk about fighting demons from our past. Let's talk about this, that, and the other thing. We're faced with something more fucking asinine comes out in the media, in the news. Today it has been announced that Canadians cannot travel in their own country. I am not allowed to get onto a plane or a train without the double jab. No mask, no this, no that. None of that shit flies. What? At what point do people stand up and say, come on, man? To quote somebody. At what point do they stand up and say, this is no bueno? How many people are involved in this, in this charade? How long do we have to wait until those who are voting with their dollars can make sense of it all? I have a friend in the restaurant industry, and he says it's a massive hit already in Canada because you can't go to the restaurants or the gyms or the movie theaters if you're a second-class citizen, like I am. And now I can't even travel inter-province. Can't get on a plane. Can't even go to different cities. Far cities on a plane or a train. The travel industry is going to feel that. Tax dollars are going to feel that. Gas prices are going to skyrocket. People with cars aren't going to be able to afford them. Why? Honestly, why? Why now? What is the big rush? What is the big coup? Can somebody just step forward and say, listen, this is the fucking plan. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing what we're doing. We're just going to be open about it. Because, man, wouldn't that be cool if somebody told us what the fuck was going on? But we don't. You and I are left to have our deductions, have our, think about what we need to think about, comprehend small things that we want to comprehend, and sort of figure out where we think we're going based on the information that we have. Now, another funny thing, too, is, man, oh, man, there are people that are on the far right and people that are on the far left of this topic, of this debate. And if you're pro-vax, cool. If you're anti-vax, cool. If you're an extremist in either of these scenarios, fuck me. Come on. What is your issue? I watched a lady talking about, I'll never be able to get back. I'll never do this. I'll never that. And like, you're living in this energy. So yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah, it's weird. Right? But we don't need to embrace and absorb it too much. We don't need to live there and fear it and hate it. And then spread that panic and fear. Right? There's people right now that don't have a clue what to do, where to go, how to live, what's coming next, how do I prevent this? All these people living in the future. I mean, to me, if you ask me, that's the plan. The plan is to keep people in a total state of lower vibrational confusion, fear, anxiety. Even the ultra smart, the ones that are quote unquote waking up. If you're in a panic about what you think you're perceiving, then they're winning. And what does that mean? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched the movie yet, go take a look at They Live from 1984 or 86, whatever. Rowdy Piper. A legendary classic. It's turning into a documentary. This has been in play for decades, generations. I've had this conversation before with numerous people. When we talk about the general quelling of human movement, passports, even original passports, you're not allowed to leave the country unless you have a passport, a proof of notification of like where you are, what you're doing. There's always somebody keeping an eye on you. And for so long, we're like, the government's here to help. The government's here to help. But honestly, that illusion is slipping away. That illusion is slipping away. Because the more the government puts its thumb on people, granted, there are people that right out the gate got the vaccine and they've been having to deal with this madness for years. Why won't these people just get the fucking vaccine? What's wrong with these people? We got Trudeau, our fearless leader, stating on the microphone that people who are vaccinated deserve to have a safe family, safe travel. They got a blah, blah, blah. We've got reports saying that 1/3 of everyone hospitalized with COVID is unvaxxed. Well, shit. If 1/3 is unvaxxed, what are the other 2/3? This narrative is a derivative of destruction. So, I mean, what do? Do we bow to it? I don't think so. I don't think that we bow. I also don't believe in a violent approach. I believe that if we actually do want to make change, and if you're living in the middle, if you're not out on the fringes, if you are on the fringes and you're listening to this show, bro, you're hilarious. Flat out hilarious. I applaud your effort. I applaud your passion. But make sure it's not misguided on either divide. I don't know. Like, if we don't have violence and anger involved in this stuff, and these things are designed to make us violent and angry. These things are literally designed. You're watching this doublespeak take place in real time. You're watching this take place. And what are we going to do about it? How are we going to go about it? And like I said, if you're on the fringes and you're listening to this show, like, I'm not poking the fire. Have at it. Do your thing. But if you're in the middle, you're going to vote with your dollars. If you're in the middle, if you're not gangsta, if you've got a family, if you've got this, that, and the other thing, all of these reasons to be and things to fight for, how you impact what's going on is you vote with your dollars. You do your best to not partake in certain things. And that's pretty simple. They think that the majority of people are vaccinated and that this is a thing. And when they say these things and when they repeat this rhetoric over and over and over again, it makes those that are out there that are non-vaxxed think that everybody's vaxxed and that they're holding up the show. There's the additional pressure going on, and it's bad, but it's bullshit. Those of you who know that there's something majorly fucked up about this. Majorly. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Obviously, I don't know how it's going to play out. But I do know that we all have a gut feeling. And we all have the ability to say something. And we all have that ability to vote with our dollars. And in the restaurant industry, like I was saying before, I've got a friend that's in the restaurant industry. He's been there for years. And what I said was going to happen is what's happening. How I felt it was going to play out is exactly how it's playing out. If 4 buddies are vaccinated and one of them isn't, and they all go to the bar together, well, now none of them are going to the bar. All of them are going to hang out together because their one buddy isn't vaxxed. They're not going to pressure him into getting something that he doesn't want to get. Unlike the government, who's going to pressure you to getting vaccinated or lose your job. Or anyone that's been pressured into vaccination or losing their job. We're going to take your livelihood from you unless you get this vaccine inside you that has a 99.7% survival rate. What in the blue blunderins is truly going on? What is actually happening? Why is this so massive? How long do we have to listen? And it'll never go away. It doesn't look like it anytime soon. They're just going to take more and more and more. Not from the people, right? Because they've already restricted the quote-unquote non-vaxxers. But now they're going to start restricting the vaxxers. Right? Because they still have to punish the non-vaxxers. And they have to make the people hate them. Right? This is all propaganda. This is all... I mean, there's that famous quote. History isn't remembering that quote-unquote Hitler killed 6 million Jews. History and knowledge is understanding how he got the entire country to hate them. And you're going to start seeing that now. I think that that's the next step. You're going to start seeing... I've already seen it. I've seen an article on global news, a quote-unquote reputable source up here in Canada. Global news. Come on. And it's encouraging you to uninvite, disinvite, don't allow your unvaccinated family members over to eat the bird. Fight with your family. And the people on the fringes, the pro-vax fringes, are fighting with their family. I know stories about guys that were kicked out of the wedding party. The best man kicked out of the wedding party because he's not vaxxed. What the fuck? At what point do we not give a shit about this fucking COVID that is an unseen enemy, an invisible enemy? Some people get it, some people don't get it. A lot of people feel sick, a lot of people have the flu. Every single person that I know that quote unquote caught COVID could have caught the flu, could have caught something else. All we know is that the narrative is COVID, 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 COVID. The fucking flu is gone. Gone. There's no more common cold. Do you guys remember the Sudafed commercials? Oh, that guy would just sit up in bed and he's all disheveled and he's got underwear stuck to the side of his face and who knows what the hell, a red nose. And he's like dying. And then the wife chucks him a thing of Sudafed and he powers that back and he goes to work and he's like, oh, well, you got to go to work. Imagine that now. We're not allowed to have that. They've changed the narrative. And it's not that this thing showed up and stories got changed. It's that for our entire lifetime, the narrative has been pushed down our throats. Do you think you're having your own ideas? Why do you like what you like? Why do you like what you like? Why do you pick on who you pick on? Why are segregation? Why are people? Why is it bad to be fat? Why is it okay to make fun of somebody who looks different than you? Right? When I'm talking to you guys, right down the middle. Right? When we were kids, we were fucking dicks. Each and every one of us. Why? Because we saw it in movies. We thought that movies imitated art. Movies imitated life. We learned to be a dick because we thought it was funny. And then maybe we got hurt when we were younger. And our coping mechanisms dictated that if we stood tall, we would never get hurt again. So we became assholes. And a lot of us worked through it. I'm 100% one of those people. I was a fucking piece of shit for a very long time, and I know it. And it stems from my hatred for self. That's all gone now. But a lot of it, when you're in that darkness and when you're in that state, the media is showing you stuff. And you're like, oh, this is okay. That's okay. Oh, I feel better when I hurt somebody. It's easier for me to bring somebody down than to lift myself up. The media has been playing us since birth. And the truth of the matter is, humanity's natural resting place is a place of high purity, a place of high energy, high intensity, a place of awesomeness. You can accomplish and achieve anything if we all stick together and put our minds to things. But we can't because we've got this source right now in our fucking faces everywhere. I'm in the middle of the country and I still have the influence of this. Like, people are still sending me this stuff. You're trying to avoid it. You're getting the Coles notes though. We've got this entity that is driving us apart. You can do this and you can't do this out of the purpose of safety. How about we all bound together and say, you know what, fuck it. Some of us aren't going to make it. Some of us are. Our whole lives up until now, some of us got the flu. People died from the flu. People died from syphilis. Fuck, back in the day, people died from diarrhea. Dave Chappelle made that joke. Fuck, oh shit, got the Hershey squirts. Better start making my will. And then you're going to hear everybody say shit like, oh, they cured polio. Damn straight they cured polio. But what gave them polio in the first place? Nobody asked that question. Where did polio come from? There's lots of evidence that says all viruses are man-made. That it's not natural for a human to concoct something. So if we can get out of our own heads and look at a much bigger picture outside of the whole COVID spectrum, then you start seeing that the majority of everything that we know has been handed to us and is also in the process of falling apart. And what do? Brings up another meme. If we all just stood up, they couldn't play the game on our backs. And don't get me wrong, don't get these twisted words up. There is a game being played above us. For sure. And it's also where depression and anxiety come from, which is my wheelhouse, which is how we clear your anxiety and depression. We pull you out of the delivered world and we allow your soul to see things how they really, truly are. And not how one person perceives them to truly be. You tap into source and you pull out and you understand who you are and where you are. That's so imperative. And this world, as it's going right now, needs that more and more. And maybe it's a good thing that they're pushing us to the brink of this craziness. How much do we rely on everything for so long? What? I don't know where one story ends and the other story begins. But it's just this long running consecutive narrative. I mean, the most compelling one, the most obvious one that we saw was prior to this whole mess was 9/11. They tried to convince us that planes flew into the towers. They tried to convince us that a plane flew into the Pentagon. They tried to convince us that a plane flew into the ground in Pennsylvania. They showed us the footage. There's no plane in any of the footages. None whatsoever. There's some CGI planes, looks like, that fly into the towers. And even if they're real planes, there's confusion there. But let's just talk about Pennsylvania and the Pentagon. They flat out said a plane hit both of these buildings without a stitch of plane. And society accepted that. Society took that in. The news reported that World Trade Center 5 had collapsed while she's standing there in front of World Trade Center 5. They got their hours mixed up. There's holes in that story. There's holes in all kinds of stories. There's holes in stories of Pearl Harbor. There's holes in stories of where AIDS came from and what AIDS was and the demographic and the fear that people had in the 80s of AIDS. Every single one of these things, there's holes in. I mean, what the hell was the Tuskegee experiments all about? Tuskegee experiments. What was that all about? Why do we trust? Why do we trust? Because we blindly have. Where is our power? Our power is within us. I can go on and on and on about this, and apparently I've rambled for a solid 20-odd minutes right now. But I'm telling you, the positive spin on all this is you have the power. You still have the power. You can still do and create what you want to create. You can still see yourself. And yes, I've already said 1,000 times it's going to get worse before it gets better. But true colors will prevail. And we can't allow this tyranny to keep running rickshaw over us. And you know what? The way I'm talking right now, I'm going to be on the list. I'm going to be on the shit list of public enemy number 1. I haven't even addressed the Facebook blackout. And I wanted to, but I'm not. I'm going to cut it off here, and we'll probably talk about it on the next episode because I've got a lot to say about that too. And the truth is, we're all being silenced. We're all being wiped out. I'm not even going to touch on the Facebook thing, but I'll tell you this, because of how easy it was to just shut that down. And you understand that, we've all been shadow banned and we've all had, stuff taken down and we've all been put in Facebook jail, but they could just take it all away. And for the purpose of interconnection, once that's gone, once that network is gone, there's a lot of places that people that used to go for news and that used to go for inspiration and awareness and positivity, it gets hurt. I spoke about this on the last episode where I was going to create a link, and I did. If you go to thementalmasteryalliance.com, there is a main link, stay connected, or whatever it was. It's right in the middle of the page, stay connected, and it's just an email capture. Punch your email in there. If we get pulled down, the next podcast will go right back up, and we'll email you the RSS feed so that you don't skip a beat. But if you want to stay connected with us, the link is right there, thementalmasteryalliance.com, and the link is right on the page. It just says stay connected. Click on that. Enter your email address. I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm just going to send you the link to the new episode because I believe now it's almost an inevitability that we get pulled. And unfortunately, I feel like I'm speaking into a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it could be now, it could be a year from now, it might not even happen at all. But if all social media goes down, we're going to create a group. We're going to create a connectivity group where people can talk, share, and experience. There's already some stuff's in the work, but we'll get you guys, connected with that. If all social media goes down, that's the best thing that we can do. The best thing we can offer is your email capture. So it's not going to be used for anything. It's not going to be used for anything nefarious. We're not going to sell you shit. You just throw it in there and we get out to you. We'll reach out to you if we ever need to, if you ever need to, get the beacon. Again, that's thementalmasteryalliance.com. Stay connected is the tab. So check that out. And yeah, in this time, in this weird shit that's going on, no matter where you are in the world, Germany, I'd love to hear from you guys. You guys are a huge follower of the show. Send us an email, info@thementalmasteryalliance. Let us know what's going on. We'll read your email on air. We'll talk, if you've got a great point, if you want to be on the show, info@thementalmasteryalliance.com. I want to hear more about what everyone's experiencing and how we're doing this, because we are a community right now. You guys are amazing and you're growing exponentially. I'm so happy that people are listening, that I'm not alone in this mayhem, that I'm not lost in this shuffle. I love you guys. I love what we're doing. I love this. I love what's happening. It is as chaotic as it is. It's creating unity, and you guys are fucking rock stars. Absolutely rock stars. So the next episode will probably be on my take on what took place with the Facebook collapse and what that was all about. And yeah, I'll give you a hint. It's got something to do with Pandora. And I believe also McAfee's Dead Man Switch. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for listening to me ramble. I hope the sound quality is fantastic. It's only the second time we've used this gear. But here we are. Here it is. Thank you all. Just thank you guys for just being awesome and just thank you. So in the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
Thank you for listening to today's Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag MMA and Mental Mastery Alliance. Want more motivation? Be sure to follow online on Instagram at Mental Mastery Alliance and on Facebook at Mental Mastery Alliance. And remember, your perception creates your reality. Make it a great day.
You got it, Pontiac.